Mike Bobo is sitting in the middle of a gladiator movie and just asking everybody, "Are you not entertained?"
Welcome to My God Up Podcast. I'm Jim Wood. In this episode, John Powell and I previewed Georgia's matchup with the Vanderbilt Commodores. We talk through what we're looking for in the game, and we answer questions from you, our listeners. As always, remember to check out the newly redesigned MyGottaPodcast.com to see our latest merch. And you can follow us on social media at MyGottaPodcast. Finally, we'd love for you to check out our presenting sponsor, Oxia Time, at OxiaTime.com. That's AXIATIME.com. Now, let's join the conversation in progress. Back together, but virtually again, John.
Back to the same old, same old.
I have to say, I do envy those who get to podcast in person because I felt like it was a lot easier.
It was easier, but it also wasn't because we had to like reorient the room.
That is true. We had to get the perfect backdrop in Pondo's famous basement.
Yes.
So.
Yes, with all of the artifacts. If you watch the YouTube video, you can look at all the Wood family artifacts.
True. But yeah, back to our regularly scheduled ways of recording. See if I can open my bourbon here, John. All right. So I do have something relevant in two ways. So multiple ways. I bought this with you when we went to an ABC store in Athens this weekend. So this is the Blue Note Crossroads. So it's not from Nashville, but it's from Memphis. So a Tennessee bourbon. And then because I saw this Friday night when we went shopping and bought it, I forced you to watch the ending of the movie Crossroads. And so you got the full experience of what it's like hanging out with my family when we do random stuff like that.
That was definitely interesting. I can safely say I had never seen Ralph Macchio in such a way. I've
Awesome.
got a combination.
Okay.
I'm doing a little bourbon cocktail today. As you know, or if you're a listener, I'm a fan of the port and sherry barrel finishes. So I've got the Isaac Bowman port barrel finished bourbon, which shockingly was not opened at all at the tailgate. I guess they didn't need it because they had too many bourbons at the tailgate. But I've also got the full tilt
Okay. Gotcha.
elite that we didn't get to dip into because we were so tired.
We were too tired after the game.
Yes.
True. And it was not bourbon time yet. And we both had to drive on Sunday.
Correct.
Yeah. Nice.
So cheers to your listeners.
Cheers. And I guess the other thing with that is also after you left, John, I don't think I told you this yet. My mom went into the fridge and realized that there was leftover Little Italy from Friday night dinner. So Lily got her Little Italy. So don't worry, Carter. Or maybe sorry, Carter. We ate your leftover pizza.
We ate the leftover pizza. I actually thought about that today. Carter gave his body to the game experience this past weekend. We knew that he was coming down with something, thought it was allergies. It's usually that time of year for asthma sufferers. If you're an asthma sufferer, thoughts and prayers to you this time of year. I myself struggle with this time of year as well, but not nearly as much as Carter, who's basically allergic to outside. But yeah, he had to go to the doctor today. He had to miss another day of school, which he was not super thrilled about because they get their new teachers today.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I was walking into the doctor's office and I was like, I think we left that pizza at Jim's house because it was almost lunchtime.
Yeah. So we were all at the pizza. I actually had some leftover sub from Friday night too, because I didn't finish my sub. And then we had the Celsius, and I had the Celsius. Shout out Logan. And Lily had her prime that you left for her. So we did good for lunch. So
Yeah, I left you some prime and some, and so you can have some Celsius. So that was the first time you had it.
yeah, I had never had it. It was excellent. I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
It was
tropical
good stuff.
vibes.
Yeah, it was a good one. It
I
was a
think I
good one.
also left some of that bacon in there too.
The bacon was there. We should have, man, we should have made some bacon wrapped shrimp to have with our podcast name on.
That would have been great.
Oh man. Too funny. Um, I guess the only other thing I wanted to make sure to call out was we got a package arrived today. So I know shout out to Jason Barton. He sent after listening to last week's episode, picked up on the Ale 81 talk and sent us some Ale 81, a bottle of bourbon and some like custom glasses to enjoy it. So Jason, again, appreciate it. And I'm going to hold on to it so that John and I can enjoy that together. So we'll enjoy that soon. So thanks so much, man. That's pretty cool.
That's really cool. Yeah. At first, I think that's the first care package that anyone has ever sent us, which if you're interested in sending us care packages, we'll gladly accept them. I forgot to mention that on the episode about that we had the care package coming. So unfortunately we didn't get to partake it in time.
Yeah. Shipping times will do that to you going across states sometimes. So yeah. Well, cool. I don't know. Shall we jump into the matchup, John?
You know what? Let's do it.
All right. So kickoff Vanderbilt, Saturday at noon. It is on CBS. It is at First Bank Stadium in Nashville, Tennessee. Their stadium seats 28,500 JP. A few less people than Sanford. Georgia comes in 6-0, 3-0 in the SEC. Vanderbilt 2-5, 0-3 in the SEC. The Dogs still number one in all the polls. Vanderbilt not ranked. Mentioned it's on CBS, but like we talked about, it's the early game in a doubleheader. So we don't have we're not the game of the week. So we've got Ross Tucker doing play-by-play, Tom McCarthy as analyst, and Tiffany Blackman on the sideline. The official hashtag that we'll forget to use is UGA versus Vandy. Although I feel like we used the hashtag last week and then we exploded. So maybe we need to use it every week.
Hashtag omens. I used it last week actually.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. Maybe that's the key to the fast start, John. We gotta use the hashtag.
If you use the hashtag, good thing happen.
Let's see. All-time series, Georgia leads 60-20-2 here. And the last time we played these guys, October 15th in Athens, last fall, the Dogs won 55-0. Heard some chatter about the weather in Kirby's press conference today. And I know there were some questions about it being super cold and rainy. What I saw when I looked today was like showers. There are some showers in the forecast, but in the morning could have some rain. But from what I saw, looks like it's supposed to clear up before kickoff. So low of 53, high of 69. From what I'm seeing, 62 and partly cloudy at kickoff. High of 69 between 2 and 3. So temperature should be rising throughout the game for those that are going to be there in attendance. And I checked, John, I didn't see anything to indicate there will be swirling winds. So for what that's worth, I know we were blindsided by that last week. So if you're going, check the weather and I don't know, maybe bring a windbreaker or a jacket. Don't be like us.
Yeah, don't be dumb. Well, you at least brought something. I was dumb.
I did have I had a thin quarter.
Say anything about? Yes. Does it say anything about the seating situation? I haven't been following, and frankly, I didn't notice. Like, I know that there was a bunch of rigmarole about Vanderbilt and their stadium construction situation.
Yeah, so I know it is. They were doing construction. I actually was kind of assuming that the seat count was so low because of that. Because I know that is not completed. Like they're still working on it. And actually, something that I noticed, I didn't read through the whole thing, but like on their site, they're like when you go to like the football screen on vucommodores.com, there's like a banner at the top that says construction updates and detours. Click here for more.
Hmm.
So they have like an active construction map and what's going on with football game day and all that stuff. So yeah, it says their campus utility projects are underway, including Vandy's facility projects. So abide by signage and avoid construction areas on game days. So yeah, not the best timing there.
It could be worse. We could have complete construction during the football season instead of a bridge shutdown. So
True, true. Good call. All right, that's what I got for the matchup, John. I believe you have some fun
we'll get
facts.
to that. We'll get to that in just a second. But
Okay.
I do have some fun facts. Let's just revisit a couple of things. If you listen to this podcast, you know that we've talked about the history here before. You know, Vanderbilt is named after the Vanderbilt family that had the was it railroads? Was it railroads, right?
Um, I
Or
know the main guy.
mining and
His
gold
Yeah, like his nickname was the Commodore for like shipping and stuff.
shipping. Yeah, okay. It was one of those monopolies, right?
Yeah.
One of those famous monopolies. Um, but yeah, it was the control of gold and coal, which is hence the colors, which used to be orange and black, interestingly enough. Um, the famous alumni, I did come across some interesting famous alumni that I don't recall before. Um, but Betty Page, does that name ring a bell to you, sir?
Betty Page. Oh, am I gonna get made fun of? Because no, it doesn't ring a bell.
Nah, it might not if you it was she was a 1950s pinup model. She was like
Oh, okay.
I guess
Got it.
the like kind of like the Pam Anderson of her day or whatever kind of thing.
Gotcha.
Um, but yeah, she's a famous alumni. There's a ton of baseball players. Obviously, Vanderbilt was a big baseball school. All the different sports athletes. There's a number of different you know presidents of universities and CEOs and things like that, which you would tend to expect from a school as prestigious as Vanderbilt, which I believe is like one of the, I think it is the toughest school to get into in the SEC, right? I think someone had posted like they were making fun of we go from Kentucky, which is like 97% acceptance rate, to now we're playing Vanderbilt, which I believe is like in the single digits acceptance rate.
Yeah, yeah, that was 51 to 7 GATA. That was in his question last week.
Nice. Um, but yeah, they are the Commodores. They have a mascot named the Commodore. Interesting enough, this year when I was researching, I didn't recall this from last year, or previous years, but they actually have had several dog mascots as well. A couple of mascots. There's one in 1961. They had a dog that was named George. Actually, he was a basset hound that he was a visible mascot for a while, until he ran away and ended up getting run over by an ice truck. Sad story.
Wow. Okay.
So there's another one that I saw in the on Vanderbilt's website. They had a web page that was talking about their canine mascots. There was a dog named Bull, which I guess got beat by I think it was some sort of terrier. It was a larger dog that got beaten up by a smaller dog terrier, which um, you know, maybe is personification of Vanderbilt being the doormat of the SEC.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. Those are kind of the big fun facts. Vandy was a founding member of what is now known as the SEC Conference, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, I know. Seriously.
They actually used to be pretty good. They won a conference championship right after it was founded a few years later. But yeah, they've been around for a while. Big famous private research university. What Jim was talking about, the other fun facts, and I think we had kind of mentioned this in the past, but Jason Hasty, our Haregrett Library point of contact and all around general good fellow, has been kind enough to serve as the, I guess we can't call it unofficial. Technically, the official, but we'll go ahead with the moniker, the unofficial official historian of My God, a Podcast.
Yes.
So we're hoping to have more segments that are going to feature these kind of fun facts from the archives, really, from the Haregret Library archives, and from what Jason's historical prowess.
Yeah.
Notes from Jason this week. He writes to us and says, I feel like I should read this as like a Civil War letter or something, but 1895, the 1895 football season was one of UGA's was UGA's third, and it was one of their most unusual seasons in history. He says that the season featured 2 games against North Carolina, which was separated by only 5 days. The first game was against North Carolina on October 26th and involved a Carolina punter tossing a ball forward to a very surprised teammate, who then ran the length of the field for a touchdown. The forward pass was 10 years from being legalized and was one of the, if not the, very first recorded instances of a forward pass being used in a game. Despite the play being illegal, the touchdown stood because the umpire claimed to have not seen the play. Because they won on an illegal pass, North Carolina offered to play Georgia again on Halloween to settle the matter in the gentlemanly fashion. North Carolina won that game 10-6, and everyone presumably was happy about the fairness of that play. I guess the checks weren't going through Birmingham at that time, but
Yeah. Well, what's interesting there too, right? Is it's like, so obviously I didn't know this, but
I didn't know this either.
you've already got like Georgia and North Carolina kind of argue over who was the first state university anyway, because like Georgia was funded first and UNC started classes first. And the fact that potentially the first ever forward pass happened in a Georgia North Carolina game, pretty interesting.
That is interesting. Yeah, I didn't think about that. But yeah, I guess they probably argue over the what do you call it, over the rivalry results, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
if you don't argue about the results, is it a rivalry?
Exactly.
But yeah, so Georgia played in Columbus for the first time during that season. Though it was not against Auburn, Georgia beat Alabama 30-6 in the first ever meeting between the two teams. Then they had a game against Sewanee, a strong team, and only a few years away from fielding one of the greatest teams of all time in 1899. Resulted in slugging, biting, and allegedly a near brawl between the two teams. And an official who was recruited from the crowd gathered to see the game. Despite all of that, Georgia won 22-0 against Sewanee. He said the most unusual game, though, took place against Vanderbilt in Nashville. Here we go. You're probably wondering why we're going through this whole thing, just to build up the season of suspense and the weirdness of this particular season in 1895, which is still just kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah.
In the second half of the in the second half, with the score tied 0-0, a Georgia back, I'm going to butcher the name, Jason, Pomeroy. Jim, do you want to check in on that?
That sounds right. I'll allow Pomeroy. That's how I would say it.
Can we get Scott Howard to weigh in, please?
We need it.
Pomeroy downed the ball by shouting "down" after advancing it through the line. This was the accepted way for a player to indicate that they had been downed and that the play was over. Seconds later, a Vanderbilt player picked up the down ball and ran the ball in for a touchdown. Glenn Pop Warner, the Georgia coach, famous name there, argued with the official to no avail. The referee, who was the only official on the field and apparently a Nashville resident, refused to overturn the play. So Warner and the Georgia team simply left. Vanderbilt was awarded the win 6-0, which still stands in the record books.
Dude, like just leaving, like that totally sounds like something I would do.
I know. Screw you guys, I'm going home.
Oh man, that is crazy. Man, yeah. 1895 Vandy game. So I guess that is where we I think he said that one, or does that one have? I guess it was the Sewanee that, or the other one that has an asterisk. But yeah, Jason sent us some pictures from the yearbook that year that had the schedule and had an asterisk by that game. So that was why.
Indeed. And he also sent some pictures of the, I guess they kind of, when he first saw that, when he first sent them, I was like, oh, it's 1895 Pickman. Because that's kind of what they look like, is the Pickman pictures.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it has like a border that, like, yeah. Yeah, he sent some pictures of the team and a couple of the players. I believe the captain, if I'm not, we can post it on the socials and let everybody see.
Yeah. We'll get that out there for sure. Man, I don't know. I'm happy to have I mean official, but we're gonna say unofficial official because it's funnier. Historian
I
of the
mean,
podcast.
I don't want to brag, but I think we may be the only Georgia podcast out there that has an official historian that works at the Harrogate Library.
Amazing. Thanks, Jason, for sending that in. Awesome.
Appreciate you. And if you ever have a chance or a free afternoon, you should go online and request to see some artifacts that Jason has and the Athletic Association has at their disposal.
For sure. Yeah. And the 3:00 Friday dual exhibit tour is excellent. So highly recommend that as well. All right. I've got some news and notes, John. So Carson Beck getting some accolades this week. He was the SEC's co-offensive player of the week. He shared that honor with Jaden Daniels. He was also named to the Davey O'Brien Grade 8 and the Manning Award Stars of the Week. So heck of a week for Carson. And then our guy Peyton Woodring, was named the SEC co-freshman of the week. He shared that honor with Arliss Boardingham. He's a Florida tight end. And then on the press conference. So actually nothing major out of the press conference. The main thing that was just funny to me was Kirby got a question to clarify whether he actually does or does not know who Miley Cyrus is, from Seth Emerson. As part of it.
Well, give the for those of us that are not aware, like I am, I saw this pop up on social media. What was the hullabaloo?
Okay, so he got the only thing I'll say is first is today when he got asked about it, he totally ignored it. Like he chuckled and then just moved on and didn't answer at all. Okay, so actually the funny thing is what I figured it out today is so he got asked a question about this, and I'm going to play the clip for you, John. But what I didn't realize until today was who asked it. So it was actually Allison Mastrangelo. She's the one who interviewed Chris British Bulldog this week and last week. She's who we did the walk and talk with a year ago. Yep. But so she asked this, and here's her question with Kirby's response. This was on Sunday's press conference.
I want to go back on that wrecking ball that you were talking about. Like in my head, I'm envisioning Miley Cyrus. But what are you? Is it like an actual wrecking ball?
I don't know who Miley Cyrus is. Like what does she have to do with the wrecking ball?
Well, she has a song called Wrecking Ball.
Huh?
You ever heard that song, Wrecking Ball?
I know Eric Church wrecking ball.
So were you showing videos of like what specifically? Is it a wrecking ball going into a wall or certain plays or things like that? Like what were you?
Force equals mass times acceleration. So we wanted a lot of mass. What is a lot of mass? More hats. What is acceleration? More speed. And we wanted that going into them. And we wanted to do it connected. Like we wanted to be connected in our physicality. And we showed videos of a wrecking ball. It was just a big ball hitting a building. I mean, it was knocking it down. And each week, each day in the meeting, it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And we wanted to be the wrecking ball.
So I guess she had heard this wrecking ball story throughout the week and was... she thought Miley Cyrus. Kirby doesn't know who she is.
That's amazing. And he answered it in a way only Kirby can.
Exactly. So that's all I got from the press conference. There was no like injury updates or anything that I really caught today. So
I actually have something for this particular section today.
Okay.
I did feel like I heard or saw him make a comment, or someone asked him a question about how would he feel about the number one rankings? And his response was, "We don't care."
That's perfect. Also perfect. Also the perfect Kirby answer.
We do not care.
That's awesome.
That was
Love it.
amazing.
Love it. Actually, I lied. The only thing I saw injury wise, I think someone asked like, was there a timetable for Mims? I think because they were trying to get him to say he'll be back by Florida, and he said there is no timeline. So that was the only thing. Only other thing I remember.
He didn't get. Did he get the hopeful kiss?
He didn't even say hopeful or anything.
Nice.
Yeah, nothing. So, all right, let's see. On to the game. We can start with Georgia's offense, Vanderbilt's defense. So, what are we looking for when Georgia has the ball? I'll run through some notable players like we always do. So, for Vanderbilt's defense, defensive end Nate Clifton has 2.5 sacks. Linebacker CJ Taylor has 45 total tackles, 3 sacks, and 1 interception. And safety DeRicky Wright has 29 total tackles, 2 interceptions. So those are just a few guys to look at. But if you look at the stats of like what our offense is doing this season and what Vanderbilt's defense is doing, it's not great, Bob. So Georgia ranks near the top in pretty much everything, more middle of the pack in rushing yards per game, but the number 1 passing offense in the SEC, 3rd in points per game in the SEC, 2nd in total yards, and Vanderbilt ranks like almost dead last. So they're the worst defense, ranked 14th in points per game allowed, and then 13th or 12th in the other defensive categories. So a bit of a nightmare matchup for these guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I should say so, considering that Georgia's coming off of its best offensive performance since 2020. And that includes the 65-7 drubbing that we gave to TCU, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah. And what Carson Beck had 300 yards passing by halftime? It's pretty nuts.
Pretty nuts.
I don't know. So what are we looking for? Empty the bench.
Yeah, I think that this has got to be talking about, like, I can make it simple for us, Jim. What are you looking for on offense? I'm looking for the offensive line to remain consistent. They were consistent the entirety of the game against Kentucky. I want to see that carry over. I don't want to see any dropbacks. I don't want to see any injuries. I'd love for Carson Beck's jersey to stay clean. Those are the things that I'm looking for on offense. I'd like to just run up a nice comfortable lead, cover the spread or whatever we want to do with it, and then just shut it down.
Yeah, agreed.
That's what the sensible person in me. But then there's like this wild hair that's like, you know what? Let's just let this thing. Let's just let it ride. Just keep it rolling. Just rack up another 50 burger. Let Carson throw another 400 yards so that we can get some respect. Put some respect on Bobo's name. Like, keep the haters off, because then if we all of a sudden shut the offense down, we're winning 30-0 at halftime. Beck's got 200 yards, 1 touchdown, and Dejan's got less than 100 yards, and everybody's going to be still mad about something. You know what I mean? I'd rather give nobody anything mad to be about.
Yeah. I mean, I don't anticipate that we take our foot off the gas. Honestly, we may pull starters, but I mean, even against Kentucky, we saw Vandegrift come in and continue to run the offense, right? So I would think similar here. You know what? I guess one thing I would love to see is Arian Smith get some catches. I'd like to see that. I feel like I would love to get him some confidence.
Is that because you think that he deserves it, or like what's the? I don't necessarily disagree with you. However, I have a feeling that part of the reason we're not seeing Arian as much is because of the the coming out party that Ra has had over the last several games.
Oh, I agree. I'm not saying he deserves more time than Ra by any means, but I know he had a drop against Kentucky. So I'm just talking I want to see him do well to get that confidence up. I don't know if he's feeling down or anything, but I know he had a drop against Kentucky. I'd love to see him get back on track. He was almost like a trick play with him early, because it was like he was injury ridden, didn't get to play a lot, and then like whenever he did play, we're just used to seeing him go deep.
Yeah, we're used to him being the one that's catching those deep balls, but man, like
yeah,
not gonna lie, man, Rara is looking rah good.
Yeah, no, he is. Ra's looking good, man. Rosemary Jack Saint. I know, like Graham's 12 takeaways. He was talking about like, what is it, like yards per routes run was something insane for Rosemary Jack Saint. I don't know. I don't know that the offense will be quite as open as it was against Kentucky. But I don't think it will need to be, but I wouldn't mind if it was. Like at this point, we showed so much. I don't know that it matters to hold that stuff back anymore.
It would be interesting to see. We held their defense in pretty good position the whole game. It would be interesting to see because, I think something that Graham did mention was that rather than running to set up the pass, they just went ahead and started out with the pass.
Exactly.
Just go ahead and take the top off.
Yeah.
Which maybe that's this team's persona now, I think that I have a feeling that the way that the season feels like it's been going is that the coaching staff is feeling increasingly comfortable with letting Beck sling it.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree.
And I think that that's a good thing.
Fast start this week, John, for the offense. I guess if we tweet the hashtag, it will be for sure, right?
That'll be good.
All right. You got anything else for the offense or defense?
Let's see. Offense, their defense. I'd like to see no turnovers. I'd like to see a perfect. I like to see Carson hit a perfect game. I'd also like to see his completion percentages continue to remain strong because I believe that what was it? He had one of the best performances by a quarterback in quite some time, I believe, too.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I feel like I read it somewhere, but like they were talking about his 80% completion percentage that he had in the by the second quarter or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think he started off like 14 of 14, actually.
Yeah.
And like I think Bobo, I think, still has the record for most consecutive completions to start a game. I think it's like tied between like Bobo and Quincy Carter or something like that. I could be getting that wrong, but I know Bobo had it at one point.
I thought it was Grayson Lambert.
Well, I know Lambert has like the completion percentage for a game. I don't know if he has the most consecutive completions to start a game. Maybe he broke it, and I'm just forgetting.
I gotcha.
But it's definitely possible. But yeah, no, I agree. That'd be good. All right. Well, before we move to the defense, why don't we take a moment to remind everyone that Season 4 of My God, a Podcast is presented by Oxia Time. So Oxia Time is a Swiss watch company, and you've got to check out their 2021 and 2022 Georgia National Championship watch collection. And right now, there's two ways you can do that. So you can always head over to oxiatime.com. That's AXIATIME.com. And again, you can use the code MyGottaPodcast to get a custom presentation box to go along with your timepiece. But there's also a limited edition set of watches through the partnership between Oxia Time and the Classic City Collective. So you can head over to the Classic City Collective's website. It's at classiccitycollective.com. Click on shop and then click timepieces. And there you will see the limited edition timepieces that they have. Each of those, they're the same watches we've talked about, but their presentation box is signed by Kirby Smart. So be sure to go check that out. And a portion of proceeds on those watches go towards Bulldogs battling breast cancer as well. All right, JP, let's talk that defense. So when Vanderbilt has the ball, so they've played two quarterbacks this season. Started out the season with AJ Swan. He has now been replaced by Ken Seals. So Seals is 46 of 76 on the year, 631 yards, 6 touchdowns, and a pick. He's started the last two games. Swan had like an elbow issue. So I'm not sure if it was the elbow so much versus just giving Seals a look. But I checked to see. I could not find any updates from Vanderbilt coach Clark Lee today on any kind of update there. So I'm assuming it's going to be Seals, but I guess we'll find out on Saturday.
Okay.
They've got kind of like a two-pronged approach from a rushing attack. So Patrick Smith has 246 yards on 59 carries with 2 touchdowns. And then Cedric Alexander has 207 yards on 52 carries with 3 touchdowns. So pretty equal carry and really production from those 2 guys. And then the receiving core is led by senior receiver Will Shepard. He's got 35 catches for 55 yards and 8 touchdowns. I remember a lot of talk about him last year coming in to the game. So I did just go look to see what he did against the Dogs last year in Athens. He had 3 catches for 45 yards. I know Kirby did mention in the press conference, he got a question just about Seals and kind of how the offense has changed and how Vanderbilt's offense has looked with Seals on the field. And actually what he called out was their receivers. So Kirby did say that Vanderbilt has really good wideouts who are very fast. So for what that's worth, he's got a lot of respect for them, John.
I have a feeling that they're gonna try to prove that point.
Yeah. The matchup of Georgia's defense with Vanderbilt's offense is not any better. So you've got Georgia leads the SEC in points per game allowed at 13. Vanderbilt is 12th. Their offense scores 28.9 points a game. That's 12th in the league. Again, Georgia's top 3 in like every offensive category. Vanderbilt's highest ranking in the SEC is passing yards. So they're 7th in the league passing wise with 275 yards a game, but 10th in total yards, 13th in yards rushing. And like I said, 12th in points per game. So yet again, not a good matchup.
No.
Yeah. So I guess what I'll be looking for is, setting the edge. Can we do that? Look for continued improvement there. I would love to see some of the young guys that we've talked about, just see what they can do, see how they look now versus early in the season. So like Impemba, I know we've already been starting to see Marvin Jones Jr. more already. And then like, can we get any pressure out of the front 4 without having to bring linebackers? That's something I'll be looking for. So more just questions, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I'm gonna look for the linemen to have a better push on the defense. I think we had like 0 pressures, something like that, until we got to till the game was beyond them.
Yeah.
Like we just got nothing. We got nothing from the defensive line. So I'd like to see those guys up front participate more in the havoc, right?
Yeah. Because I mean, basically, like the pressure that we got against Kentucky was coming from, I mean, stunts from the linebackers. I mean, I know JDJ had 2 shared sacks. I think it was like him and Lasser came in on 1, but yeah, I'd love to see if we could get some pressure just out of a vanilla defense. I do expect the defense to be relatively vanilla in this one, I suppose. I don't know, maybe not. We'll talk about that in a minute. I'm actually not sure how vanilla we're going to be against these guys.
Yeah, I don't know that we're going to be super vanilla because we're getting to the point in the season where we got to start, making sure we're ready to go on these things.
Yeah,
I would say one thing that I am curious about, if we start making them one-dimensional, what that does for the rest of the game, right?
Yeah.
Like if they can't run the ball, that could set up for a really long night, right?
Yeah, for sure. Or afternoon.
or afternoon, right?
Morning. What, 11 a.m. there?
Oh, that's right. Oh, the early starts
Yeah.
are earlier.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, I would say that looking at those rushing numbers that you were just talking about, like what is what's the rushing yards per attempt? I mean, that's a lot of attempts.
Yeah, I mean they only get they are running for 92.6 yards a game. Which like I said, that's 13th in the league. So
Man, if that pans out in this game, like we could be watching it could be a record interception night for us.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll see. Yards per attempt. I mean, their backs do like those top two backs are they're averaging like 4 yards a carry. But yeah, just not from a team wise, not super productive.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't have much to say.
Well,
Dogs.
there's not much you can say.
Yeah. They have what was their I know they started off, they beat Hawaii. But then it's kind of come crashing down since. So okay, I've got some special team stuff, John. I got some special teams for you. So
Let me guess. They've got an Australian punter.
Matt Hayball. Where do you think he trained, John? Yes, that's right. Pro Kick Australia. Yet another. This guy is good. So watch out. Their punter is a weapon. He's averaging 50.1 yards a punt. He had a career-long punt of 71 yards in the season opening win over Hawaii. This guy is also old. These guys are all old. So he redshirted in 2018 at FAU, and then he was their punter for the next 3 seasons. He transferred to Vanderbilt last year, played as a 5th-year senior. He is now punting as a graduate player in 2023. He is 26 years old. But he is he had the hype coming into the season. He was the 3rd-team coach's all SEC preseason punter. So he is a known commodity.
Man, this guy's just living the life, huh? He's just playing football, kicking, and getting a graduate degree all at the same time. That's crazy.
Well, that's everyone wanted to harp on Stetson so much, but what about these Australian rules punters that come to the SEC? Or come to college football? I mean, we're not going to give them any crap like we give Stetson. So I'm just saying.
I agree.
And then their place kicker, Jacob Borsilla, 6 of 7 field goals, long of 44. So, I guess from our side, I want to see touchbacks. I still am a big fan of touchbacks.
Kicking through the end zone.
Exactly. And then, our guy, Mekhi Muse, almost had a punt return. I know there was a block in the back, but he still almost had one for against Kentucky. He's still doing really well in the return game. Something I didn't catch in the stadium too. Maybe Michael Williams will get a return. I don't know, John, if you've rewatched the game. There was a play where Kentucky did like a pooch kickoff, and Michael signaled for fair catch, and then he was like mad at himself because he didn't run it back. That's pretty funny.
Well, he probably just did what he was coached, right?
Exactly. No, yeah, he totally did the right thing, but he got mad at himself. It was pretty funny. He wanted to see what he could do in the return game.
That would have been fun.
All right, that's all I got on these guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's good versus bad.
I mean, yeah, like it's the best team versus the worst team in the league. So,
right. I'm actually surprised that this game is on CBS. Like, what? Yeah,
I know it is kind of weird. It's weird.
How bad is the SEC schedule this weekend? I haven't even looked.
Yeah. I mean, I have some games. The 3:30 game is who is the 3:30 game? The 3:30 game is A&M at Tennessee. So I guess that's the quote unquote game of the week. Oh, I think they got that wrong. We can talk about that later. All right. Well, let's go ahead and hit the listener questions, which are brought to you by Working Web Media. So during this off season, we set out to redesign mygotapodcast.com, and we ended up working with Working Web Media to get that done. So they set up we were able to sit down, talk with them, talk about what we were looking for. And they were able to completely redesign it and release it for us. So if you have a small business and you need help with your website or just with your online presence, they also do social media and marketing as well. Definitely go reach out to Working Web Media. You can go to workingwebmedia.com/dogs, and then they will know that we sent them your way. All right, let's start it off with Alex Berger. Alex, I know, John, you got to meet at the game this weekend at the tailgate, and he sits in our section as well. He said, remember 2020, they canceled our senior day, make them never forget, dogs by 70. So that's what I was going with, John. Around will this be vanilla? These guys have not scored a point against Georgia since they canceled senior day in 2020.
Ooh, I'd be completely okay with that transpiring again this year. I mean, hey, remember 1895.
Exactly. Seriously.
The hatred for these guys goes back to 1895.
Yeah. So I know, I mean, I do remember like in 2021, I remember there's a lot of talk leading up to the game, like, is Georgia mad about the canceled senior day? Are they not? And like, oh, it's not such a big deal. And then pretty soon in the game, we're like, yep, Kirby's pissed. Because that game was 62-0. And then last year was 55-0. So we've been putting a hurting on these guys ever since they canceled senior day. All right. Next up, we got some tailgate legends. So rodeo dog fan wants to know, number one, where does the Kentucky tailgate rank all time? JP, what do you think?
I mean, for me, it was number one for sure.
Yeah.
There's just so many factors in there. Like there was just too much. It was almost overwhelming. Like we talked about this. Like I am a picture person. If you were around us, like, I was asking to take pictures because I like to collect I'm the Jason Hasty of the archives, I guess, for the tailgates. But yeah, I mean, I forgot to take pictures with so many people because I was just so like enthralled with what was going on in front of me. You know what I mean? Which that's not necessarily a bad thing. I remember a lot more. I feel like because of it, I did have a little bit of a cognizant. Tried not to do too much documenting, etc. But
yeah, I feel you on that.
It was just fun. It was just a real fun tailgate, and there was just so much going on. We had British Bulldog, we had multiple tailgates, we had all those people coming in town that, and we had live music at the tailgate. I've never seen that before. That's crazy.
That's where I was going to go. I'm fairly certain I've never been to an on-campus tailgate with live music.
Yeah,
that's pretty epic.
Seriously, that was pretty epic.
Yeah, and a whole hog, by the way,
and a whole hog. We've done whole hogs,
Yes, that I have seen that before.
Yeah.
But
that was next level.
Yeah, agreed.
And I will say that most of the hogs that I've done or that we've done had been like the fraternity houses and stuff like that, not like someone pulled in a whole huge smoker.
Yeah, seriously.
Right off of Lumpkin.
Yeah. So that was epic. It was epic. I am no help on his second question. And if you're not either, John, I'm just going to ask if listeners could hit up Rodeo and let him know. He said, does anyone know a good route around Chattanooga to get to Nashville? So I don't. Like I looked and I'm just not, I haven't done that drive many times. I definitely know when I did go, I went through Chattanooga, so I don't know.
Is Chattanooga the Gaffney of Tennessee?
Good question. Good question.
I mean, are we trying to avoid it? Like, I guess we're trying to avoid it, right?
I imagine, yeah.
Truth be told, I am a huge fan of Waze. Waze just takes you the shortest route, right?
Yeah. So, all right. But if you're listening and you have a great idea, go hit up Rodeo Dog Fan and let them know your route.
The secret route.
Exactly. All right. Another tailgate legend. Greg wants to know, or says, at the halfway point of the season, what are the positives you see and where must we improve? What is the biggest surprise so far this season? So first off, it is crazy that we're already at the halfway point. It's kind of hard to believe it. It always goes by so fast.
It does. Yeah. Time flies when you're having fun, Jim.
Yeah, seriously. So what are some, I don't know, what's some positives for you, JP?
Mike Bobo is sitting in the middle of a gladiator movie and just asking everybody, are you not entertained? I feel like that, Graham talks about the TCU game is like,
Mm.
you know, he talks about how that game was like the offensive opus
Yeah.
for Monken, right? Like that was
Right.
like his magnum opus. I feel like that the season is turning out to be like one of those, like the entire season is kind of like a Bobo opus as to like what life with him would have been like had he actually had a defense.
Yeah.
Because we've all talked about this when Bobo came on board. Matter of fact, like even when Monken was still here and Bobo was a consultant, or he kind of came into the coaching staff to assist and all those kinds of things, that like we all looked at it as a positive. We all looked at it as like from where I sat, I was like, I mean, his whole thing was taking these quarterbacks and making them amazing and making them great, right? He was the quarterback whisperer.
Yeah.
And it's hard not to notice the disparity of who Carson Beck is today versus who he was before Bobo came.
Yeah. Agreed.
Period.
Agreed.
Full stop. End of story. And we're seeing him progress. It's like you're literally watching a quarterback grow into himself live and in person. And it happens to be on the best team in the country that's undefeated, that's on a winning streak. And, like literally like everything kind of came together last week to make us everybody. I feel like everybody, with the exception of some of these random media folks that are telling us that Georgia looks beatable, that team looks like it could win a championship, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We saw what we had been waiting for against Kentucky, for sure.
For sure. And I think that you're going to keep seeing that as it goes on.
Yeah.
So as far as positives go, like everything that we thought Bobo was going to be, I feel has been that way. Now, the guy sitting behind you, Jim, we might need to just throw some cold water at him in the windy cold.
Yeah, I'll let you know if he shows back up next game.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like and so I would agree with that. As far as improvement, I think it's, I mean, to me, I think it's actually what you've mentioned, John, is like consistency of the line play.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then we did talk about like, defensive line improvement there, see if we can get get pressure, right. Without having to blitz. So I guess that'd be it for me.
It's coming up a little bit. And if you are a Dog Central follower, go check out Graham's 12 takeaways. But one of the things he mentioned, he rattles off this like long list of like youth along the defensive front.
Yeah.
And, I guess the front seven, if you will, that he kind of thought would, at some point, you got to make a decision on whether or not you're going to allow people to continue to. Our whole thing is to say, like, you got to play to a standard, right? There are some players that have not necessarily fulfilled that, that measure consistent enough, and probably one would argue consistent enough to warrant continued failure, right? Like at some point you got to let the young kids have a shot.
Yeah.
And a sustained shot at that. Like, because we've got some really talented kids that are sitting the bench right now that are kind of watching around. And, he rattled off a lot of names that have just kind of been, where are these people at? And I look at that list and I look at some of the names that are on there. I'm like, geez, Louise, like, if they don't get a shot at it, are they going to start looking around and transferring? And you have more Bear Alexander situation. And so, like, for me, from a development standpoint, I look at that and say we need to have some answers for getting to the quarterback.
Yeah.
On the defense specifically.
Yep. Do you have a biggest what surprised you the most this season thus far? Any surprises?
I mean, do you have an answer on that one? Well, I kind of ponder that a little bit. I'm trying to give a sincere answer.
Yeah, I mean, I guess right now, thinking back, I don't like the offense has been what we've been focusing on so much, right? Because we said like the defense is kind of the defense is the defense, and we're going to lean on that. The question is going to be the offense. If you had asked me in the spring, I guess I'm a little bit surprised, pleasantly surprised by the emergence of Ra because of how things started off slowly with him. He was in the doghouse. And I didn't really know what we were going to be getting out of him coming from the Mike Leach offense, frankly, of Mississippi State, right? Very different offense. So I wasn't exactly sure we're going to be getting. And I mean, the catch that he made in the corner, getting his foot down against Kentucky was just phenomenal. So he's been a pleasant surprise for me.
Man, where's number 5 for a reason, Jim? He
Yeah.
replaced number 5. Yeah, I mean that's for sure in there. I would say that I'm probably most surprised by the lack of production, and this is probably just the lack of production from Ladd, which a lot of that's due to the injury, but like it surprised me. I didn't expect that we were going to be as prolific a passing offense, that Carson Beck would be sitting in the top 4 in the country in passing yards.
Yeah.
That surprised me. I didn't think that he would be as prolific as he has been, and as like just incredibly efficient. Like I expected him to get better, and I expected him to be good, but like I kind of thought he would be kind of like a Stetson Bennett, he'd have a couple 100 yards, a touchdown here, and it would be just this nice, workman like games. But like he's putting up, at some point you're going to have to get to a point, if you're a pundit, if you're talking head, if you're on the voting committees for these types of things, like at some point Carson's going to warrant conversation about a Heisman Trophy.
Yeah.
We talk about Beck, or we talk about Brocktober, we talk about Bowers. Yeah, absolutely, 1,000% that he deserves to be in those conversations. But Beck is equally, if not more, deserving of that.
Yeah, I mean, if Brock continues to put up those numbers, he's going to bring Carson with him to New York. I'll say that
for sure. How cool would that be if we had two white boys, and Brock Bowers and Carson Beck sitting up in New York for the Heisman Trophy ceremony? That'd be amazing.
Trey would be tweeting out the Pocahontas thing for sure.
These white men are dangerous.
Oh man. Too good. All right, let's see. Friend of the show, Tim Riley, no longer miserable in Minnesota. First time I'd gotten to go to see Tim at a game for a while. That was fun on Saturday.
That's the first time I've seen him in a really long time.
Really?
So,
yeah.
Super.
Yeah. All right. Was the Auburn game Missouri 2022? And now we go on a Kirby death march until the SEC championship game. Dogs seem to play big in big games. Could the remaining games be total blowouts and we found our juice and also getting healthy? I mean, I think as far as where it was in the season, it lines up perfectly, right? Auburn game was the exact same point of the season as Missouri last year.
Okay, let's put on our conspiracy helmets again, Jim. Remember early in the season, we had these little conspiracies about these things, that the coaching staff was manufacturing adversity for these guys.
Yeah.
I mean,
the 5th game of the season, 2 years in a row. Come on, guys.
I mean, come on. It feels like the History Channel, with that guy that's like, I'm not saying it's the aliens, but it's the aliens.
Yes.
I'm not saying that it's a conspiracy, but it's a conspiracy. It's the Kirby long con.
Yeah. So I certainly hope the answer is yes. I actually think it is. I actually think that was the Missouri game. So
yeah, I would tend to agree. I mean,
yeah.
If nothing else, like, who else on the schedule are you worried about at this point?
Yeah, I mean, so the whole undefeated thing and all the undefeated teams still being on a record thing that went out the window this week. So with Missouri losing to LSU, so there aren't any more undefeated teams on the schedule. But I mean, I think the best teams left in the schedule would be Missouri, Tennessee, and Ole Miss. I mean, those are the best ones.
I would say
And we get
Ole
two.
Miss for sure.
Yeah, when we get two of those at home, right? So you get Missouri and Ole Miss at home. Only Tennessee on the road. So
I'm still, my jury's still out for me on Tennessee, but
agreed.
we'll get there.
All right, 51-7 GATA. Who would have won the fight in 2011? And he included the picture of Todd Grantham and James Franklin going toe to toe post game in that Georgia Vanderbilt game in 2011. Who you got, John? Not Ron Franklin, by the way, because remember you said Ron Franklin at the replies. James Franklin. Who you got, James Franklin or Todd Grantham?
I think I like Todd Grantham just because that weight disparity is hard not to ignore.
Yeah.
I also feel like, I don't know, I just like a perception thing. I feel like he's got a reach on him too. So if he gets those grizzly bear hands on James Franklin, he's done for.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you. I'm on Grantham as well. Not that I approve of the behavior. Grantham's a little ridiculous. Between that and then, like, it was kind of, I don't know if funny is the right word, but like when that happened, it was kind of like, oh, that was weird. But then like when he did the choke sign to the Florida kicker, it's like, come on, Todd. So anyways, I don't know who this is. I reached out to 51-7 GATA to get the name, but I haven't got it back yet. So we'll have to get the word out there. But he said, side note for the Vandy game, there's a DGD this week that's heading to his 300th consecutive Georgia game. So that's pretty cool.
300 consecutive Georgia games. Wow.
Yeah.
What does that break out to from a year standpoint?
Well, and let's think about that too. That means they were able to go to every game during the 2020 COVID year. That's impressive, man. I broke my my like what, at least one home game per season streak because of that. And I was upset about that. So that's pretty impressive.
That is cool. I'm also curious how old this person is.
Yeah. 51-7 GATA. Let us know, and we'll get more word out about that. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I would say that start getting that information out there and tagging some media folks. You might want to have Logan Booker or Allison talk to this person.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we got a couple of questions about kind of like playing to the standard. So Bubby Dean said, do the Dogs play to the standard or do they succumb to human nature and play down to the competition level of Vanderbilt? And then Brian Harrell said, does the offense regress this week playing a weak Vandy? Again, I point back to the we haven't done that the last 2 years. These guys haven't scored a point on us since canceling senior day. We seem to have an axe to grind with them ever since that happened. So
Kirby's going to be there in 2030 or whatever, and he's going to be like, you remember when these MFers they canceled the game on us?
Yes, seriously,
we can't let that happen again.
Yeah, I want to hear that. I want to hear that halftime speech.
Yeah,
I guess it would probably have to be a pregame speech. Bubby did say, does Kirby let players that aren't 100% healthy take this week off going into the bye to be more prepared for the cocktail party? What do you think about that?
I disagree with that assessment.
Yeah, I don't think we're taking anything off.
I'll give you one. Atlanta Braves slow starts in the playoffs for such a thing. So like you take them off, and then all of a sudden they got a bye week. Like, listen, Jim. Mike Bobo is on the stove. Let that boy cook.
Yes, agreed. Hey, I'm all for that.
But if you get to the fourth quarter and it's 70-0, maybe we can put in the second string.
Fair enough. Let's see. So some questions on slow starts. So Brett Belding said, is the slow start narrative done and buried, or was that an exception? And then let's see, Erk Russell. Actually, and I don't know about this. Erk Russell said, will Conturby continue to give his halftime speeches before the game starts to avoid the slow starts? Which I actually, I don't know if there was like word that got out that he actually did that. If it is, if he did do that, that's amazing. But I don't know. So I don't know if that's 100% joke or if something happened, because I wouldn't put that past Kirby to do something like that.
I mean, I've seen some of the pregame speeches that he gives. Like it looks, I mean, they're pretty fiery. They're pretty fiery.
Yeah. So if he switched it up, I would definitely keep that train rolling. But I mean, again, I do think the slow start thing is I think it's done. I'm not sure how much
I
of
don't
it was
know.
really there anyway. You think it could happen again?
I mean, I think it could happen again. Obviously, it can happen again.
Well, sure. Sure. You can make a mistake.
Any given Saturday, like I as far as like the propensity for that to allowing that to happen.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it's probably dead. I would imagine that this coaching staff got together at some point over the last several weeks. We're like, listen, if we allow this to continue, at some point we're going to get to a position where we're not going to be able to pull out those wins like the Auburn game. And like I said, conspiracy theorists in me is like maybe they wanted to stress their team to a point that they thought that they couldn't go beyond, and then they're like, okay, let's actually start playing now.
Got it.
Now, I don't think that that's actually the case. That's just me having fun with with things that are logical / illogical. Because like, why, if you're a coaching staff, like, why would you try to do some stupid shit like that?
Yeah. Sorry, Carter.
But like, why would you do that? Like it's kind of like, I mean, all season long, Kirby has shown the ability to get Brock the ball. Like, and he even said, like, what are we gonna do? Throw it to him less? Like, it's not.
Yeah, seriously.
It's not even been trying to do that. So,
right. I like
our prospects for it to be dead, though.
Agreed. I agree with that. All right. I do not. Again, I don't have an answer to this one because I am horrible about this. Best food in Nashville. Have you been to Nashville?
I've been a handful of times. I went most recently. Like, when did we go? It's been this year. I feel like we went to Nashville earlier this year, and you know what? It was towards the end of last year. Actually, we went for a soccer. We went to a soccer an ODP thing when Carter was playing soccer, and he and I went up to Nashville and stayed. And then we stopped into. We didn't stay in Nashville, but like we stayed around the Nashville area, and one day we went into Nashville to get some hot chicken for Carter because he's a big chicken finger aficionado. So he's like, I gotta have the hot Nashville hot chicken, which he promptly did not enjoy. And I know that we went to some famous place. I want to say it's like it had like a yellow logo on it or something like that. Like it was one of those places that a bunch of people on Twitter had recommended.
Okay.
There was like one or two places that people like said to go to, and this one happened to be close by and open. So anyway.
Yeah, when I've only been there like for football games twice. But it was in college, and I was a dumb college kid, and we did like absolutely nothing. Like I can't even tell you anywhere we ate. There's probably like fast food places, and then at the tailgate. I do remember like random people welcoming us to their tailgate, and we were poor college kids, and just said okay and ate their food. But I don't remember going out anywhere, and I have not been back there as an adult. So, but my quick Googling and with the top results that came back, the Distillery looks pretty good, but I don't know. That's the best I got.
I feel like that we ate at the Distillery, actually.
Okay.
Let me look at this place. Let me do a quick search. Just look at the pictures. Yes, we had this hot chicken. We had this hot chicken and mashed macaroni and cheese situation.
Is that where you took Carter for hot chicken?
It is not where I took Carter for hot chicken. It is, however, a place that we also got some hot chicken.
Okay. That's too funny.
Yeah.
So, but was it good? Or did I give it? Okay, so I didn't give a terrible recommendation.
Yeah, if it's the place that we went to, it was pretty solid.
Nice. Let's see. All right, Dogs United wants to know: does Clark Lee survive the year if Vandy loses out?
Probably not. I would think.
You don't think so? I actually feel like because he is an alum, so I think they might give him a little bit more leash because of that, and also like it's Vanderbilt. So,
I think who else are you going to go hire?
Yeah. I mean, then they handcuff them. I mean, like, they don't even have an athletic department or whatever. They're so weird. Kick these guys out. Sorry, I was kidding. 7% acceptance rate, by the way. I looked that up earlier and forgot to go back to it.
Nice.
Let's see. And then he had some over-unders. How many passing yards does Beck throw for this week? Over under 300 yards. Oh, that might we'll hit that with Coach Chobel because he's got a different number. And then okay, do we see a running back top 100 yards this week? Can we see a 100-yard rusher, JP, against these guys?
Yes.
Who you got? Who is most likely? Dejan. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I'll take that. I'd take a flyer on that. All right, let's see. JR Real. Will Georgia hit 70 points? That's lofty. No. I don't think so either. Let's see. Oh man, we actually kind of jumped the gun on this one. He said, if so, what would Beck's and Bauer's stats be? Plus percentage chance they both make it to NYC for the Heisman.
We beat you to that one.
Yeah. Too funny.
I mean, if they keep on this trajectory, right? If Bowers keeps scoring, like, I mean, first of all, he'll break every record at the University of Georgia receiving wise. If he keeps putting up 100-yard receiving games, and at least 1 or 2 touchdowns per game, like, yeah, I think that they're both in line to be up for the Heisman. Like, yeah, I would almost say like 1-2 in the Heisman.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see it. Like, if Beck gets up, if Brock gets up that high, it's kind of hard to not have Beck paired with him just because of the way that award works, So
right.
All right, let's see. Jake Johnson, Milton looked great against Kentucky. He said he feels healthy. With the wide receiver, running back, OL, and Beck rounding into form, could this turn out to be the best offense in Georgia history? I mean, I think points per game, the best one was the 2014 Bobo one, maybe. And then offense is pretty dang good last 2 years. I mean, it could be. I mean, and again, going back to what we were just talking about, I mean, you've got the most matured Brock Bowers, compared to those last 2 years, right? I mean, I think we're seeing the best version of Brock Bowers thus far. I mean, we've definitely had better backs on the teams, but like you were talking about earlier, this becomes a throw to open up the run instead of run open the pass kind of deal. So who knows?
Yeah, and I would love for Brock Bowers to throw a touchdown at some point.
Again, man, that the wild dog Bowers at quarterback with the quarterback sweep, we're just setting it up. I'll tell you, if we got that question last week, is this the week that Brock Bowers throws a pass? Last week was not the week. This week could be the week, honestly.
Agreed.
All right, John Michael D. How funny is it that British Bulldog came back this year for a quote bigger matchup on paper, but saw a closer game last year, meaning Kent State last year. Munsoning is dead and buried, and Kirby we trust, in the defense we trust, and happy Brocktober, gentlemen. So agreed. I will say, at least though, while Chris didn't see, as close of a game on the field, he got the full day-long experience. Because the bummer for his first game was it was a noon kickoff. So
yeah,
got the night game, got the lights, and then got the full day of tailgating. And I will say, Chris did a good job pacing himself. He made it. He made it to the game.
He did. There were some folks that did not pace themselves though, but I was actually, I wonder if he would how he feels about it. But like, I was actually a little disappointed in myself that I paced myself a little too much. I feel like maybe it's because I had Carter there and I didn't want to drop any more sorry Carters.
Right. Could be. I mean,
at one point, like we were walking over in front of the Georgia Center, and I ran into the one of those like little barriers that's designed to keep cars from going on the sidewalk or whatever. And like I genuinely just ran into it, and Carter was like, "Are you drunk? Look. He's been drinking."
Oh, too good. Yeah, something else we didn't hit was how many my music playlist hit sorry Carters even on our way into the game.
Yeah.
So sorry Carter. Too funny. All right. Oh, then we had multiple Miley Cyrus questions. So at least, John, that came up in the press conference. So you now know what people are talking about.
Okay.
Oh man, friend of the show, Tim Riley again. Apparently he has 2 questions. Who would make a better country music star, Kirby Smart or Clark Lee?
I'm gonna have to go with Kirby Smart
Mm.
because
Right.
his immediate go-to was Eric Church on the Miley Cyrus question, which tells me that he knows a thing or two about country music.
Agreed. Oh
What
man.
kind of music? What kind of music do you think that he would play? I know you're not like a huge country fan, but like, what do you think he would? What kind of music do you think he would go with?
I mean, I would be okay if he was kind of like I see Kirby being kind of like a George Strait kind of guy.
Okay.
And part of that is like I don't know how much Kirby can write. And George was a huge performer. George Strait, or most of his songs, he didn't write them. He was a country music, obviously country music legend, and I've seen him live many times. I would go with that. Another Wood family classic movie, John, Pure Country. Go check it out, starring George Strait.
I've seen that. I've seen that movie.
Okay.
I could see him being like a Tyler Childers or like a Zach Bryan type person.
Okay.
You may not get that reference, but
yeah, no, I do.
Okay.
I like country music.
I like country music.
I'm like an old man, and most of my country music I listen to is from like 1998. So
Garth Brooks.
I know, well, yeah. That's why I went to George Strait. And I don't know anything new.
Kenny Chesney, the original Kenny Chesney.
Man, I have no idea. Tim wanted to know what would Kirby's stage name be? I don't think he would have one, or it would just be like Kirby.
What would his stage name be?
I feel like most country music singers don't have a stage name. I mean, unless Kirby's in a band, and what would the name of the band be? Maybe.
Oh, that's a good one. Kirby Smart and
oh man,
who do you go with on that one?
Well, I mean, Kirby Smart and the Junkyard Dogs, obviously. I don't know.
Kirby Smart and the Wrecking Balls.
Nice. Let's see. Okay. Fletcher Proctor rounding us out. Kirby apparently doesn't know who Miley Cyrus is. What is the biggest mainstream pop culture reference that would go over your head?
I mean, you could let me count the ways probably on this one.
I was gonna say I will generalize because what goes over my head is like the YouTubers and stuff. So like my kids know who they are. Like I never know who the heck they're talking about.
Oh yeah.
Like they'll be like so and so said this, or I never know who they're talking about. So
my buddy went to the beach back when we had like a couple weeks ago when we had fall break or whatever. They went to the beach in 38 and they had a house that I guess was split in two, and like one half of the house was being rented by some YouTuber. I can't even remember the name of the YouTuber. He was like, dude, blah, 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 this guy stayed at our hotel, like some prank, this guy that like used to do prank videos or something like that.
Okay.
I was like, oh, that's awesome. I have no idea who that is.
I will say,
I was like, did he prank you?
My one that I did, so I did have a moment where I knew who someone is, and the people who were with me did not. You know the Holderness family, right? Like the husband and wife.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I actually saw the dad. I saw him at a Panthers game like a few years ago. So it was a few years ago. So it was probably like when they were just kind of getting started. And but anyways, he was like playing cornhole at the bar we were at, and no one that I was with knew who he was. I was like, oh my God. I was like, it's the dad from the family from the videos. And no one knew what I was talking about. So I at least got that one. But
Roman Atwood. Does that name mean anything to you?
Never heard of it. No clue.
Roman Atwood was the guy for anybody that was curious.
All right. Last one from Fletcher. What if Beck comes back next year? Could it happen? Would he light college football on fire?
I wouldn't put it out of possibility.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Because ask yourself this, like, do you think that he's put enough film out there to warrant being picked in the top. I don't know. Do you think he's put enough on film thus far to be picked in the first round if he were to leave?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on how the season goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you could be way up there if you stay again. The other thing is too.
I would tend to file this under the situation, kind of like I would say he's kind of like a Isaac Nauta, Evander Holyfield type person, or not Evander Holyfield. Shoot, what
Elijah.
was his name? Elijah Holyfield situation where you put up this like amazing. You've waited your turn, you did your things like, and you had a great season, and you have 1 year left, and everybody's telling you you get graded or whatever, and then all of a sudden it turns out like, oh shoot, you didn't actually get drafted or didn't get drafted high enough.
Yeah, yeah,
And then you're like, what a waste.
right. I don't see that happening to him, but I will say this: the fact that he stayed as long as he did and didn't transfer says a lot there. So I actually wouldn't be shocked if he came back. So for what that's worth.
Yeah, no, I absolutely would be shocked. I actually, there's a lot of folks out there that are talking about Brock Bowers, going to the NFL this year. I've actually been thinking like there's probably a chance that he could come back.
Brock's gone.
You think he's gone? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Brock could have gone to the NFL. If you listen
He
to
could have gone
George,
to the NFL last year.
he could have gone to the NFL after his freshman year. He was already ready.
I know.
So, yeah. I mean, this is the first time he'll be eligible to go. I think he's gone. So, all right, JP, are you ready?
Let's do it.
It is time for Coach Trillbill's over-unders Vanderbilt edition. So, we didn't have the numbers in time for recording on Sunday because we did things a little bit differently. We recorded in the morning from my parents' basement, as we discussed. So the people don't know this yet, John, that as far as we can recall, I had the first ever perfect weekend in coaches over-unders. Last weekend, I went 8-0 in Kentucky. So I am have shot out to a lead. So I get to go first again. Or I get to choose, and I will go first. So we're going to start off with the offense. Over under 325 passing yards for Georgia. I'm going to say over.
I'm also going to say over.
Over to you. Over under 2.5 rushing touchdowns for Georgia.
Over.
I'm going to go under. Over under 8.5 players with a reception. And I'm going to say over.
I'm going to go over.
Okay. All right, back over to you. On to the defense. Over under 2.5 sacks.
I'm going to go over.
Agreed. Over. And then over under 1.5 forced turnovers for the Georgia defense. I'm going to go over.
I will also go over.
And then over under first half Vanderbilt points, 6.5. It's over to you.
It's over to me. I'm going to go under.
Agreed. Under. Punt return yards, over under 65 for Georgia. I'm going to go over.
I'm going to also go over.
All right. And then last one, John, the miscellaneous. Construction workers spotted on television. Over under 5.5.
Over.
Over. I'm gonna agree. We talked about the construction. Totally over. Coach told me I don't know. I mean, you may have been sitting there, but he definitely told me that was going to be the most miscellaneous this week. He was so excited about it.
He's going to go through it with a fine-tooth comb.
I love it. Dude, there was nothing like Coach Trillbill, like with a magnifying glass, looking at all the bourbon bottles to see if they're from Kentucky last week. That was amazing. Coach,
how many of those did he have a sample of?
I don't know. Over under bourbon sampled by Coach Bill. Not sure. Not sure. Coach, thank you for the dedication. Much appreciated, as always. All
We
right.
didn't get a picture with Coach. I'm a
Yeah,
little
no.
frustrated.
I've
about
got. You must not
Oh,
have
we
looked
did.
at. I need to make the shared album because I put those on the Google Drive.
that. All right, I
There's
haven't
one.
looked at the Google Drive.
The picture with Coach is actually hilarious. So
Amazing.
it's us, Coach, Carter, and then Lily is like leaning over upside down, looking back.
Oh, that's right.
at
I
the
do
camera.
remember this.
That's
Okay,
that one.
I remember. Okay.
That's a good one. All right. So for the final predictions, so CBC R2 Sam has this as Georgia 49.9 to Vanderbilt 11.2. Odd Shark has let's see, Georgia is favored by 31.5 with an over under of 57.5. That's an implied score of Georgia 44.5 to 13. And the Odd Shark predicted score is Georgia 48.1 to Vanderbilt 18.6. I'm just going to go, like I said before, they have not scored a point on us since they canceled senior day. That continues. Dogs 48-0.
Wow. Okay, goose egg for us. I'm gonna go 50-10.
Okay, like it. You were mentioning earlier, like what else is going on in the SEC. There are some good games on this weekend. So we're not even starting in the SEC. So around the country, I mean, I think the biggest game to me, and I would assume game day is there, but I don't know. Honestly, I still haven't really watched game day this year. Because it's kind of annoying now. But
which game's gonna feature the sleeveless shirt, man?
exactly. But number 8, Oregon and Dan Lanning travel to number 7, Washington, the Huskies. That game is at 3:30 on ABC. So huge battle out there in the Pac-12. That's going to be a fun one. So I'm going to go with Coach Lanning. Apologies to my my father-in-law, who's a Husky grad.
Man, how about them apples?
Well played.
Oh man, that was just an excuse to drop that one. Yeah, I have to say I'm going with Dan Lanning on this one.
Yeah.
It's gonna tell us a lot about both of these teams. What I'm
Agreed.
fearful of is that you're gonna find out a little bit more about Oregon, but it's gonna give you're gonna find just enough about Washington to have basically have it be a push from a perspective, like a national perspective kind of situation.
Sure.
I would prefer one of these teams to just run away with it, to leave no doubt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Agreed.
game day is at Oregon and Washington.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I would assume they would have to win. That's a huge game. Let's see. Then the SEC game of the week is A&M at Tennessee. I don't really know what to make of that one. Honestly, like, I don't know. I mean, I guess A&M played Alabama pretty good last week. And I don't really know what to make of Tennessee, kind of like you said earlier.
Yeah, I'll be looking for this one. This could be okay. So they're at Tennessee. So this is going to give us a little preview of what it's going to be like from a game day atmosphere.
Yeah.
I have a feeling there's going to be a little bit more enthusiasm for the Georgia game, but I don't know. Like when do we play Tennessee? Actually, now that I'm thinking about it,
Way at the end of the season.
that's what I thought. I was afraid of that. I was hoping that this is going to be a situation where like they had like a last minute win over Texas A&M, and it was going to be kind of like Kentucky versus Florida situation, and then we come to town right afterwards and just smack them down to earth.
Yeah, dude. Our schedule does get pretty tough. So we got off week after Vanderbilt. Then you got the cocktail party. Then you got Missouri and Ole Miss at home back to back.
Right.
And then it's on the road at Tennessee and at Georgia Tech to end the year. So Tennessee, literally the last SEC game at Tennessee.
Is that normal?
No, this is very weird. Tennessee and Auburn are backwards this year from like traditional. So like we should have played Tennessee when we played
I feel
Auburn.
like we played them earlier in the season. Yeah.
Yeah. So get off my lawn. I don't like it. Hopefully that goes back to normal. Yeah, I don't know. Like pick wise, I don't know. I guess I'll go pick Tennessee, but I don't really know what to make of it. And then
Give me chaos. I'll pick Fisher.
okay, I'm good with that. One that would have been huge if coach could have taken a knee to win the game. So now we've got 25 Miami at number 12 North Carolina. So the Tar Heels are undefeated. I didn't even realize that. Lily was like, Dad, I guess North Carolina's having a good year. And I wasn't really paying attention. So
Yeah, no, those the North Carolina teams are doing pretty good. North Carolina and Duke, right?
yeah. So yeah. So I don't really know. I have not watched North Carolina, but really I just wanted to bring that up to make fun of Cristobal again for not taking a knee and somehow letting Georgia Tech win. I've never seen an end of game situation mismanaged that bad ever that I can think of. I mean, literally.
Well, he did the same thing like a few years ago.
But was it like no timeouts and there was less time that would be on the play clock? Because I mean, it was over. Like the game is literally over. I've never seen anything like that. I don't know. Maybe it's happened before, but that's just inexcusable. So I'll take North Carolina just on coaching alone.
I don't know. I'll say this about maybe you can come back to Lily with this. North Carolina has run through this gauntlet of a schedule.
Yeah.
They played South Carolina.
I say that's the only one I know. South Carolina.
App State. Minnesota. Pitt, which by the way was their closest game thus far.
Okay.
Actually, no, I take that back. They won 40-34 over App State.
I was gonna say the App State game I knew was close. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they played Syracuse. So this is actually their toughest test of the season.
Okay.
On paper.
I mean, this would have been a huge game if Miami taken a knee. I don't know. Crazy.
Yeah, it would have been. It would have been a huge game.
And then the one that I think could be a pretty good one, the night game, Saturday night on SEC Network at 7:30, Missouri at Kentucky. So Missouri fell to. They are actually. I assume they were ranked, but so no longer ranked. If they were, honestly, don't even know. But only one loss. The loss to LSU last week, which I don't know if you knew this or not. Major Burns is the player. He was the LSU DB who had that pick six late to steal that former Georgia player. But at any rate, yeah, Missouri, Kentucky.
Georgia's just keeping everybody alive, I guess.
Yeah, seriously. So yeah, I guess for second place in the East, right?
Who's your dog? Who's your dog in this? In this fight,
Missouri at Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I wouldn't mind if Kentucky turns out to be better than Missouri since we've already beaten Kentucky.
I wouldn't mind for either of these teams to just kind of like march to a stalemate and Missouri win like a double overtime winner.
Yeah.
And then end up being ranked when they play us so that we can have another ranked victory.
Okay. Fair enough. I'm good with that. Cool. Yeah. So those are the ones that I saw. So maybe, I don't know, maybe get some porch time now that it is fall. I feel like we actually experienced the change from summer to fall.
Literally experienced the change from summer to fall
during the game.
In the walk down Lumpkin to the dog walk is when I experienced the changeover.
Yes, and it hasn't gone back. Like it's now fall.
It was like Mary Poppins just came like floating in, like the winds just went a certain way, and I was like, "Oh, dang it, I'm not prepared for this."
Oh man, if the bridge was open, you would have had time to go back to the car and get your jacket. I'm just saying.
Yes. Oh, that reminds me. I took a picture of like I think I actually did send it to you. We didn't talk about it. But I sent a picture of the sad bridge for the dog walk, which I was super concerned about. I was at least somewhat pleasantly surprised because there's construction going on at Tate, like behind where we were at the Tate Center. There's like all this like scaffolding and stuff. And so there were fans like piled into like the scaffolding that they had there, or I don't know what it was. I didn't exactly see, but I saw like little heads poking out above the construction tarps that were there. But I did notice, I looked up and it was like, yep, there's nobody up there. like directly above everybody as they come in, which is super annoying.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I may sit out on the porch and kind of just watch football all day Saturday. You guys have anything going on this weekend?
It depends on what's going on with Carter's baseball. They just lost this evening. They've had a tough season. Carter played great and pitched great again. But just don't have I mean, they just don't have a very good defense, man. Some of the coaching decisions is also kind of frustrating too. But
Such as youth baseball.
right. So they're in the losers bracket. So it depends on how they perform the rest of the way this week. It could be a championship game on Saturday potentially, but given the fact that we have not won one yet,
Right.
I don't know what's going to happen with that. I don't think we have anything going on this weekend. I could be like, I could say that, and then like tomorrow, my wife's like, "Hey, we have like everything going on this weekend." I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like that meme. Like, I don't know what's going on this weekend because my wife has not told me 5 times yet.
I had that conversation at the dinner table tonight because like I was looking for something on like the family calendar because I knew it was happening, but it wasn't there. And so then I just was like, all right, what's going on this weekend? And it was what I thought it was. So Ella has a play this weekend. So it's like, multiple showings of that. But I was like, it's not on the calendar. I need it on the calendar. Yeah. So we'll be at Little Shop of Horrors this weekend. So she's in that.
What's her part? Is she playing the plant?
No, she is not the plant. She's oh shoot, I forget the name of it. She's like one of like the singing girls, like the trio singing girls.
Okay.
Like the doo-wop girls, kind of, I guess you would say, but there's an actual name for it. She would smack me for not knowing the name. But she's got that. And then she actually has like an award ceremony to go to Sunday night. So I can't remember I told you this because she actually won an award like through the community theater that she was in. So she won like best newcomer.
Is she gonna give the Susan Lucci like, you love me, you really love me?
Yeah, exactly. So basically like she won an award through the community theater where she had to play over the summer, and they nominated her for like the regional awards, and she's actually like up for it. So we're going to the like the Metrolina community theater awards this weekend. So that'll be a fun time.
Good times.
Yeah. So, but otherwise, plenty of, we'll have bean dip on Saturday during the game. So the usual.
I think I'm gonna do the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwiches. The hot chicken sandwiches. Seems like an easy button. But at this time I'm gonna do the spicy chicken for my sandwich for sure.
Oh, yeah, you gotta try that. It's amazing. That's the way to go.
Do some Nashville hot chicken.
Nice. Well, I don't know. I guess it was good to talk to you tonight, not in person like last
Long time no see,
John. Right. So back to the online like we're used to doing it. But like I said, I don't know, man. In person was fun. We'll have to do that again sometime.
In person was fun. I'm super bummed that we couldn't work out. I had to go to the pumpkin patch on Sunday, so we were hoping to do a live broadcast with the British Bulldog, but that we'll have to table that for the next time.
Yeah. Agreed. All right, man.
I still have like the podcast like bucket list is to do the Sunday podcast review from the Bulldog brunch. Like while they're on one of their like 5,000 commercial breaks.
We'll do it when they're just playing the fight song.
There you go.
Yeah, I like it. I don't know. We have like competing dueling radio shows. I feel like that would be frowned upon. I'm just saying.
I mean, what are they going to do if you have a reservation?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know. Nothing probably.
Hey, JD, come over and let us know.
You can get a guest during commercial break.
Hold on. Breaking news. We have a guest.
Too good. All right. Well, Commodores on Saturday. any given Saturday, all that kind of stuff. But like I said, man, since we've really laid it on these guys ever since they canceled on us. So I think we'll do that again.
Oh, I would say if you are going into the game, the last time I did go to Nashville, I went to they have you may know this, Jim, but they have a full size replica of the Parthenon in their like Centennial Park area.
Hmm.
And inside apparently, which we weren't able to go inside. They had it like closed for whatever reason when we went, but it was super cool. I was really impressed with the whole park area that they had there. But I guess inside they have one of the tallest statues in the Western Hemisphere.
Oh, I had no idea.
Like the tallest sculpture in the Western Hemisphere. So that was like one of the fun facts that I completely flaked on.
JP's last minute fun facts.
Yes. Oh, by the way, I do have another fun fact. Jingle Bell Rock, the Bunny Hop, and the Hokey Pokey were all recorded in Nashville.
I like it.
Those are pretty epic songs.
Agreed.
Anyway, those are holdovers from the fun facts. It's like the post credits.
Yeah. We've moved into the podcast after the podcast before we hit stop.
That's true. Usually
that's the kind of thing that like we stop and you're like, oh man, I forgot to say this. Hey, at least you remember before we hit stop.
Yes.
Cool. All right. Well, I don't know. It seems like you don't have a ton going on this weekend, so I'm sure we'll be texting throughout the day.
I'm sure that there's something that I'm forgetting or that I've been told about that I've completely forgotten about, but as tends to happen. But yeah, as of right now, I don't believe that we have a whole lot going on.
Cool. Well, I'm sure we'll be chatting it up all throughout the day on Saturday.
Yes. And with that, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.